Welcome back guys to another episode of the Survival Let's Play series with me, I tries. This is episode 19, which means we're one step closer to episode 20, which means you guys are one step closer to the free world download. Isn't that exciting? Now, in preparation for episode 20 and the world download, we have a whole bunch of things that we need to do today in order to make that download absolutely amazing. Today's episode is going to be filled with so many builds, and it's all going to take place right over there. No, not behind the barn, but where the actual barn is. That's right, we're going to remove that build entirely. We're going to get rid of that silo. We're going to get rid of that silo and that barn over there and put a brand new build right on top. Now, know what you're thinking? Why am I getting rid of that build when I can make it anywhere else? That is a fantastic question. That is because it really doesn't match the rest of my build over here. As you can see, we do have a small town. We have a small town. This is quite a large city, as you can see, and everything in this build has somewhat the same theme, and that is medieval. Somewhat a medieval style. And we do have smack bang in the middle of this little city, a barn, a stable. And that does not make any sense. I've been stuck on that build for quite some time. I've been tossing and turning whether or not I should get rid of it. And today I think we're going to bite the bullet and get rid of this build. We're going to kill two birds with one stone. We're going to get rid of that and build something on top. And finally, we can move past this little standalone build in the middle of this very big cohesive build. So that is what we're going to be tackling today, which means that we got to get rid of all of that stuff there. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and remove everything else. Nice. And let's get started. Oh, buddy. This is going to take some time. But it's going to be worth it, right? Right? And there it is, guys. We're all done with this little cleanup. And as you can see, no more silos, no more building, and no more wheat and farmland. We still do have all the rideable horses and camel and donkey over there, all tied up on that post. We don't have a permanent home for them yet, and I don't think we will for quite some time. So for now, we'll just leave them there and move them around when we need to, because we will start building here very, very soon. Hopefully. So this place is actually not yet complete. We still need to push back a lot of the grass here. We need to terraform quite a bit. And also, we need to add in a different floor. I did fill this up just because of my OCD. I didn't like all the different types of blocks that were here. So we'll leave this for now, because right now we need to go ahead and find a pale moss or pale forest. I think that's what it's called. Yeah. So we need a lot of pale forest materials. But before I do, as you guys can see, we've taken quite a bit of damage on both our axe and also our pickaxe, and we need to repair it. And I think now is a great time to go ahead and revisit a little shop over here that we created to help us get our experience and also fix our tools instead of using an enderman farm and such like that. So let's go ahead and enter in here. So I don't remember who it was, but somebody, or a couple of people actually, I think a couple of people mentioned that we should use amethyst shards in this little mechanism over here, because it's not often used outside of, I would say, decorations, but that's not in the shard form, of course. So we're going to go ahead and make use of this in our world, and it's going to give us the chance to get experience. And of course, we just need to throw it in here a couple times. We do need quite a lot of XP, and there we go, quite a lot of experience. Oh, I should be holding these things. What am I doing? There we go. Oh, we need more? Okay. So I'm just going to spam this quite a bit, and we should be able to repair all of our items. And I think our pickaxe should be okay. Let's just dump in a little bit more. Bang, 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 bang. And then we'll work on our axe. I believe our armor should be fixed is the first thing that should be repaired, I believe. Okay, we just wasted all the armor shard. Oh, let's quickly change that over. And fantastic. Let's collect all this because we do need to use it. Bang, bang, bang. And I think that should be more than enough. Yes. Fantastic. We still do have the spoon, but that's okay. We don't really need that for now. We still need to dig a whole bunch of holes later, so we'll be visiting this place more often than not in today's episode. But that is neither here nor there because it's time for us to fly to the pale moss or the pale forest. Why do I keep calling it moss? We do need pale moss. So I believe it is several thousand blocks that way. But let's go and let's get started. And I will see you guys there. It's going to be quite a little adventure. And I'm really excited to see this forest. I've not yet experienced it. This will be my first time. So let's see how that goes. Let's go. Wow. This is quite scary, actually. Whoa. I don't know if you guys saw that, but something... There he is. Oh, Jesus! Okay. Sorry about that. Oh my god! Ah! Okay. I think we're safe. So, we've made it to the Pale Forest, as you guys can see, and it is scary. I do apologize for scaring anyone with my screams, but I was not expecting that. Okay, so we're here to collect quite a few things. Pretty much everything that we can get from here, we will try to get. So the leaves, these vines, these little trees, and I don't know, this grass. Is this pale grass? I don't think so. Oh. And the moss as well. And then we'll get some saplings. Of course, that'll happen once we chop things down. And I think we will go ahead, even though it's quite scary, we'll go ahead and get some of that resin as well. Or maybe we'll get that spawn thing that summons those big guys. But for now, let's go ahead and let's start chopping. It is quite scary, so let's go ahead and let's get this done ASAP. We do need quite a lot of this pale wood and all the pale variants as well, just because I did want to incorporate a bunch of this new material into the next coming builds, just because I think it's a very nice texture and it's a very cool white and it blends in with a lot of different things. Oh, I'll take that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you. And let's just continue to chop and gnaw it away before anything comes up from behind and starts to kill us. Whoa. Oh, nice. We do need some of these. Get some of those. Nice, nice, nice. We can bone meal those later. But now, let's continue chopping. Sorry guys if I'm a bit quiet. This place is actually kind of creepy. Feels like something is watching me from behind or something. Ah. Mojang have done a fantastic job with this biome. Spooky. Okay, now let's go ahead and grab some of you guys. Grab a whole bunch. Oh, Jesus! That's not even a... I thought nothing else could spawn in here. Okay. Sorry, fellas. You die. Ah! Cool. Anyway. My gosh. Alright, let's get a little bit more wood and find that freaking fella. Shh. I said shh. Hey. Hey! Oh. We're going to sneak up on this guy. The prey is now the stalker. That was unlucky. Alrighty, let's go ahead and let's close out this little venture. We'll grab that little resin thing and then we'll head back home. Right after we deal with this guy. Come here. Come on. Nice. Oh, it's in its tree. Very nice. Alrighty guys, welcome back. Welcome back. Yes, I did just repair my tools again. But like I said, we are going to be using this place quite a lot this episode. I did end up flying out a bit further than I had anticipated, but that's okay. This shop comes in very handy. But let's move on and let's talk about what I've done. As you can see in my inventory, I have got a whole bunch of this pale logs. And no, I didn't do that at the actual forest. It was a bit too scary, so we chopped up a whole bunch of these guys once we got home. And in addition to getting all these logs, I've also got some pale moss cooking over here in the moss farm. Look at this beautiful thing that we built so long ago. In fact, let's go ahead and have a look and see how much moss we have cooked up. Ooh, that isn't too bad. I think we'll get a whole bunch more of this, and then I'm going to go ahead and replace this entire mud section as well, just because I do have an idea for what we can do for a separate mud and packed mud variant build, but we'll replace that whole section with moss once we get enough. Now, let's go ahead and let's talk about what we're actually going to do today. As you guys already know, we're going to work on this little section here, but how we're going to do it? Well, we're going to pretty much pull out this grass line all the way to the back. We're going to terraform this floor here. We're going to add in a whole bunch of blocks, and we're going to have to move these guys, of course, and also these fellas right over here. Now, I think we might just have to kill them. Not too sure. We'll have to deal with them later, but in addition to that, we're going to add a whole bunch of buildings which will line this entire area and pretty much close it off in its own section. It's going to be an awesome build. They're going to have fully decorated interiors and also redstone. I am super excited about that, and I hope you guys are as well. Now, with that being said, we've got a whole bunch of work cut out for us, and we got to get cracking on this. So let's go ahead and let's start digging, and let's get this little show on the road. Enjoy the little montage. I am really digging this. This looks absolutely fantastic. And I know to you guys, it might not look like anything, just a bunch of blocks put together. But if we go ahead and we switch to the sky cam, you can see we have a whole bunch of things going on with all these blocks. We've got a nice little swirly pattern around the middle, which extends to the outside. And I think it looks absolutely fantastic. Some builds are meant to be viewed from afar and some up close. For example, far away. Looks absolutely amazing. Still looks good up front, but you know, it looks so grand when it's really far away. And the same thing, something like this. Of course, this was so low to the ground, you can't really see all the detail. It just looks like a bunch of blocks put together, but from above, that's where we can really appreciate it. And of course, we're not going to be up above all that much, but I just figured that if we do ever take to the skies, when we look down, we might as well have it look really cool. But as you guys can see, we're working with a lot of different levels here. Decided to put in this nice little slope. Never done this before, not in any of this world. Usually we just have a nice big step that we can jump onto that acts as a footpath. In fact, I think we've only done it a few times, 4 footpaths over there, as you can see, and I think that one not that great. We can work on that a little bit. But for this one here, I am super proud of. We've got a nice little slope, some nice little gradients as well that we worked in with different types of slabs, which is fantastic. It is perfect for the foundation of the rest of today's episode, which is going to start right now. We're going to go ahead and get building today's first build. We need to dig a lot of holes actually, and we'll do so for each build that comes up. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's get started with the first build of today. In no particular order, let's go ahead and let's tackle that, okay? Let's get building, and I think the first building that I'll do is the Pale Moss Shop, which in my opinion is a very cute little build. But with that being said, I'll go ahead and get building, and once we're done, we'll have a look at it. Of course, it's got interior, so we'll have a look in the interior as well, and also little redstone components as well. But until then, enjoy this short little montage. And there it is, guys. What do you think of our first little build for our Pale Moss Shop? That's right, we have a whole bunch of things going on here. As you can see, this build is somewhat reminiscent of our last build over there, which is the XP shop. Kind of the same structure, but as you can see, the colors are very, very different, and the blocks are very much different as well. As you can see over here, we're starting from the very dark green all the way up to a very dark gray. Now, in terms of the actual blocks, they don't really blend too well, but I think if you really stand from far away, it does. Up close, it's not too bad, but I think it still works just because this Pale Moss block over here is pretty much just a desaturated version of the normal moss block, and block for pixel or pixel for pixel, they're pretty much the same. So they kind of work in terms of the blending, but I think it's a great transition block from the normal moss into the Pale Moss, and then you head up into the grays, to which you guys can see. And as you can see, also using the pale logs as well, and the different variants of the pale log planks. We've got the stairs, we've got the slabs, and we've also got the trapdoors over there, which I think is great because this is a town center, and shops, of course, do need these things, as I've seen in a lot of medieval type of, I guess, reference pictures. So we have these little verandas, no, roofs, no. We have these little things poking out. I think it looks fantastic. And just to cap everything off, we've got a whole bunch of brown just kind of splattered across, giving a nice little hint or tinge. Nice little accent piece with the browns and also the yellows as well. I think yellows and the greens, they work fantastic together. In fact, I do believe they are complementary colors, which I think looks amazing. And then we brought in the browns again. As you can see, we have this little connecting opening. This thing is going to play a big role in the overall scheme of today's build. Just because I do like to always say, having more than one entrance and exit is always amazing to have in your world, just because it adds a lot of variety and it gets you kind of lost in this world. So once we have everything up, you'll see how everything connects, and I think it's going to look absolutely fantastic. Now, in terms of the roof, let's get up high over here. You can see we've gone for a grayish and blackish type of roof. Let's perch up on this thing. Oh, and it's raining. But as you can see, we are with a gradient over here. We are with a gradient. We have a gradient over here. Sun's coming from that way this time. And as you can see, we have a whole bunch of light gray heading into the darkness, and also a lot of darkness over there. Or maybe, perhaps the sun's coming from this way. I think either direction it'll work. For example, if the sun's coming from this way, we still do get a bunch of light gray over here. And just because this roof line is kind of covering this section over here, we do get a lot of darkness. And I think these blocks right here, the coal blocks, they're absolutely fantastic. I don't really use these ones but the black in these blocks is absolutely awesome. It's so rich, and also there's some nice little texture in it, which I'm thinking I'll use more often. So we have that going on over there. That's also a little bit over here. I didn't get to do this side for whatever reason. I'll be honest, I forgot. But that's okay, we can change that in just a moment. But nothing too crazy with the roof. As you guys can see, this build overall is really, really cool and really, really small and really, really cute. But that's not to say it's not jam-packed with detail. So let's go ahead and let's have a look inside, shall we? Okay, so once we enter the shop, this is what we'll see. This is the moss shop. So, of course, we're going to be selling a whole bunch of moss items. As you can see, a bunch of pale moss we have stacked over here. We have these little signs from the pale moss logs, just holding everything together, just accenting a whole bunch of this stuff over here because it is quite brown. As you can see, I decided to change it up with some of the colors. We got some jungle, we got some that oaky brown, and also some spruce mixed in here as well. Overall, I think this interior is quite lovely, and also we do have pale moss leaves. Every now and then they will shoot out some leaves, which I think is really, really cool. Adds a little bit more atmosphere. But again, very crowded in this area. Want to keep it like that just because I feel like that's how it should be. Oh, this door is open. We'll close that. But as you can see, I have not done anything too different from what I've done before, I think. I've just done a whole bunch of layering of other blocks put together to make things feel tall and to make things feel crowded, as you guys can see. Also, in addition to that, I'm using this little trick here that I've seen on a lot of YouTube videos. A bunch of banners from the front. Looks like curtains, but from the back of it, it looks like some windows. We have the little lines over here, as you can see, which I think is a very nice little touch. Whoever started that was a very, very smart person. Now, this is where we're going to have the counter. And over here, as you can see, I've already just tried collecting a whole bunch of the pale moss because we do have a farm beneath us. We'll have a look at that very soon, but as you can see, just ran it for a couple of minutes and we got quite a lot, which is fantastic. We'll fill up all these double chests full of pale moss, and I don't think I'll have to worry about that for quite some time. And over here is where we'll have a clerk. We are going to put a villager in here. We'll name them after you guys, but of course, we'll do that at a later time. Now, we've had a look at the shop. Let's go ahead and let's look at the actual farm. So let's go out through here. Again, different entrance and exits, which is fantastic. And we'll go down this little section over here. As you can see, we do have a little winding staircase. I really love the way this place has turned out. Let's have a look. This is like a small little dungeon, and we do have a little peekaboo section at the very top. If you do go back up and you look down, it's almost like a sewer that you can look into, and I think it looks fantastic. I'm really happy with how this overall space has turned out. It's kind of creepy. It's kind of old and almost sewage. Like, no one really comes down here all that often, but I really did want to mix in a whole bunch of moss just because this place does produce a whole bunch of it. So, as you can see, a bunch of rocks, debris falling down, and of course, a little winding staircase. And this place is lit up just enough that we get a bit of a moody and scary feel to it. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below what you think of the build so far. Do you like it? Or perhaps you don't? That being said, we have this little gate over here which stops us from getting inside the moss machine area. Did that on purpose, but as you can see, we do have a piston block over here. I did want to make this place quite cool, so I've gone ahead and add in a little, what are they called? Hipster doors? So we can actually remove this section to get inside, and we can do so by clicking that lever. And it's very, very quick, and we can go through and we can start the actual farm. And inside the farm, we have a bunch of bones and bone blocks that we can use for the actual farm. That's where we put the input. Oh, that's where we have the input, as you can see, feeds through. And this moss machine is what I've used over there in my other machine. We can turn this on to activate it. In fact, let's go ahead and try it out just to show you guys that it actually works. There we go. So basically we produce the moss over there and it gets sent through this little water stream, which just takes it up into the pipes in the back, if you guys are missing that. Let's go ahead and turn that off. It's going to be quite loud. Now to exit, we just have to flick this little lever and we'll see how quick that is. Let's go. Look at that. That is amazing. So we have this whole place closed off, which I think is super, super cool. And that, everyone, is today's build. Well, part of today's build. The first build. So hope you guys like this first little build and are looking forward to the next ones. The next ones are going to be just as awesome as this. We're going to have more redstone. We're going to have a whole bunch of details packed into these builds. A lot of different styles mixed together, but at the same time, keep them looking similar. For now, let's get cracking on to the next building. I'm not too sure which one we'll do, so let's just head to the next montage. Hope you guys did enjoy that little walkthrough. Next time we'll do it in detail, maybe. I think in the next episode when we do a world tour, we can look at a lot of the builds in more detail. But for today, since we got a lot to build, let's get cracking on. See you guys in just a moment. Now that is a very cute build. What do you guys think of our little build here of the gate tower house? Yes, it's pretty much exactly the same as that one over there, except as you can see, we've changed the shape. This one's a cylinder versus this one being a rectangular prism, and that one as well, and also the colors. But the inside of this one and the overall structure for the actual center piece and the way it functions, pretty much exactly the same. So just the colors and just the shape. And speaking of colors, let's have a look at this color over here. As you can see, not too crazy with the blocks. We've stuck with the browns. We've kept with the beiginess, the rustic feel, the old feel. And I think that was the right move. We might, in fact, use this over there, but that might be a later project to do. For now, let's look at these blocks. We've got the dark browns into the light reds. Not the light reds, but the reds. We've got the brown terracottas into the brown concrete, into the brown wool, into the brown concrete powder, and into the mud, the brown mushroom blocks, into the oak, and then transitioning into the reddish areas with the jungles, and then finally dipping our toes in the granites. I really like this block choice. I think we can make it a little bit better with a block in between the brown mushroom blocks and the oak, but still happy with it, and I think if you guys aren't already using something like this, still a great choice to pick up. But other than that, let's look at the roof. The roof, as you can see, we've dipped our toes as well into the pinks. I do not think I have used a lot of pink in this world. At least I don't remember. Correct me if I'm wrong. But definitely this feels like the first time I've used the cherry planks, or the cherry wood in general. But we've got the cherry planks over there, into the white terracottas, into the pale blocks, into the white wall, and then into the white concrete. I think that's a very nice transition. And overall, I think it complements the brown. Doesn't stick out too much, but it's also a little bit brownish if you look at that one over there with the white terracotta. But overall, I think it adds to the cuteness of this build. And we have a nice little chimney over there just to make everything feel a little bit more alive. Other than that, we don't have much else, I don't think. We have these little awnings over here. We also do have some chains. These are just to represent the mechanism of this gate, which we can talk about a little bit further. But for now, let's go around and look at the back. Yes, got a whole bunch of these little awnings. I hope they're called awnings. We have a whole bunch of these awnings. Oh no. There we go. And we also have a bunch of these little trims as well. And we have some lookout towers, some lookout windows. More on that once we go inside. And on this one over here, nothing too crazy. Again, with the awnings, the same kind of color palette as we got on the roof. And just for a little bit of depth and texture, we've gone ahead and just used some walls just to inset it a little bit from this little, otherwise, I guess, very flat wall. And also we have a rather large hole at the very top. Not too sure what that's for. We don't have access to this entire building over here. So we're going to keep that blank. That's just there for looks. Now, let's go ahead and have a look at the inside. And let's go ahead and check this mechanism out. Fantastic. And we go through, and in just a few seconds, 1, 2, 3. Yes, it comes down. Perfect. Now let's talk about practicality of this build. As you know, I do like to make a lot of my builds, and I like to think about how they would work really if they were in the real world. For example, this one, we have this little mechanism over here, and I think to myself, hey, this is how we're going to open the gate. And what is this thing connected to? The interior. So let's go ahead and check it out. Very cramped, as you can see. Something else I also like to do with my interiors is to make everything feel cramped. It just feels a little bit more lived in. But for me over here, we've got a nice little gear system, and we have this chain over here. This is connected to, I guess, something else, which then activates the actual gate outside. And that's where we lead into this little crow's nest. Oh, okay. So we have a window over here, and let's just imagine that someone walks up and we say, okay, we can let them in. We can let the person down there. That's right. This thing will be manned by 2 people. We'll let the person down there know. They can ring on that, and they'll open the gate. So that's what this little system is, and that's how I've decorated the interior. I think it's a very important detail if you're trying to decorate your interiors and you're having some trouble. It's just to think, okay, how does this work and how will this add to the build? And that's what I've done, and it's kind of made it very easy. Now let's go ahead and go to the top. Up here is very much the same. We have a 2-man station, one to ring the bell and one to look at the, well, one to look out and see if we can let those people in. Again, this is the crow's nest. We can look out and say, yes, we can let you in, which means we can pull this lever. It'll ring that bell and then let people down there know that we can let them in. Other than that, not too much else has been added here. Just a bunch of decoration, a bunch of storage, and I guess a sink over here and a fireplace. So that is pretty much it for this build. I believe it's very nice. It's very cozy, and I'm really loving the way it's turned out. I think we might add a villager in here, just to make him the gatehouse keeper or the gate tower keeper. But all in all, just to add a little bit more movement in this build so that it feels a little bit more alive. So I think that'll be something we can work on later. Because for now, it's time for us to move on to the third build. These 2 builds have been very tame with the browns and the grays and the greens, colors that we've used before. But for this build, guys, it's going to be super, super crazy. Yes, you're going to think I've gone absolutely insane, but trust me, I think it works. It's going to be a very colorful build, and we're going to have it right here. This is going to be our glass house, our glass showroom, a glass store. Okay, so look forward to that. And that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start building, and you guys sit back, relax, and enjoy a small little montage. Okay? Sweet. I'll see you guys in just a moment. Now, I know what you're thinking. Guy, what the heck have you done? Did I go colorblind? No, I definitely chose these colors on purpose, and I really, really like it actually. It is very out there with the yellows, the orange, the blues, the grays, but I think it all works together in this very colorful build. This is a glass house, not literally, but a glass house. Think of it as a glass shop or maybe a showcase room. You'll see what I mean when we go inside, but basically wanted to make it colorful because we'll have a lot of our colorful glass in there. So I figured, hey, let's go absolutely crazy, which we did. But in terms of the actual build style, not too dissimilar from this one over there and the other ones that we've done. So we've kept it kind of similar in that sense, not in terms of the colors, but in terms of the build style. So you guys can see that with the roofing and just the squareness of it all, and also with these awnings as well. We kept, because we are in a town center or like a market sort of place, right? So that's what we've done for this one. Let's take a look around. We have a nice little, what's that called? Balcony. We have a balcony over there for an office that we have set up. Yes, that's right. This is a floating door for now. We do have another build coming along through here. Once we get that in, then we can work on adding in the rest. Hello there. And then we'll be able to enter up through there and you'll see the office later on. But looking on the sides, you can clearly see what I was going for in terms of the colors, in terms of the blocks, in terms of the gradients. Very yellow to very, very dark blue, or just to blue. But these colors, they work really well together, I think, because it's a mix of texture and also a mix of colors. We've got the yellow concrete with the yellow wall, the orange gunpowder, the orange concrete powder into the jungle planks, into the dead, one of the dead coral fans. Is that a dead coral block? No idea. And then into the terracottas, and then into the other blue concrete powder blocks. And other than that, we have some nice little light brown trimmings along the sides as well. Not using spruce, not using a darker wood for this one, just because it did contrast this build a little bit too much. Kind of kept it all in the same type of, I guess, hue. But as you can see, we do have a pipe here, and yes, that does lead to something. And yes, this does lead to something as well. We'll check that out later. For now, let's go inside and have a look, and let's do so by going through the front. Let's have a look, see what we've done for this particular build. Now, we do... Hello, we moved somebody in here. Yes, we're going to have a clerk. And yes, it will be one of you guys. We'll figure that out later. But this guy is pretty much the showroom floor runner, I guess. But as you can see, this here is what I mean by showroom. We have a bunch of glass that people can look at, that customers can come in and choose from, have a sample, and all that. And also, as you can see, a bunch of storage just to make this place feel a little bit cluttered. You know my style. I really like to make things feel lived in and cluttered. And yes, we got a nice little bed for this chap over here to sleep when it does get dark. Now, let's just imagine I'm a customer and I come in and I'd say, what kind of glass do I want? Well, I can look around and say, yes, I do want this blue one. Oh, that does look nice, that red one. And maybe orange will fit in my next build as well. This is what I mean by a showroom. I think it's turned out really great. I really love this little cyan bit over here. We use a lot of the warp blocks along with cyan colors. And I think it's a very nice little detail for this entire area. Keeps it very colorful. I think it keeps it in theme, I think. But other than that, let me see what else. We have this area here. This is actually where we'll be able to get a whole bunch of glass. As you can see, I've gone ahead and sorted a few of them already. We've put a few of them in the item sorter, just a standard item sorter behind this massive wall. In fact, let's just go through cheaty cam. As you can see, just a standard little item filter that gets passed through a bunch of these hoppers, which, as you can guess, are led from this little water pipe, and we'll go down there in just a second. And then these ones, no, it's not going to be any more glass. It's going to be dye for the glasses that we can make, because as you can see over here, we have just a normal barrel for a bunch of the plain glass. And I think we're going to keep it for the second one as well. And what are we going to do with that? Well, have you ever been into a hardware store and you have to mix paint? And you can go to the clerk and you can ask them, hey, I want this color. And they put two and two together and they mix it right in front of you. Well, basically, this is what I'm going for. Right over here, we have a mixing station. So let's just say we want red. We can grab the red color dye from here, and we can grab the glass and put it into one of these slots over here. Let's just say the glass in here and the color dye in here, and it's going to get funneled into this area. As you can see, I did test it out to make sure it works, and it does. So this is where we'll be making a bunch of our glass if we need to refill. So over here, we can pull this lever. As you can see, it's going to start ticking down until obviously you can't make any more. Now, I want you to notice that it also isn't ticking very quickly. I've purposely timed it so that we can make a whole bunch of these and refill through these hoppers without ever having to break the system. Because if it does go very quickly, you will break the system because, you know, dye can end up everywhere else. So a lot of timings to this one, but quite a nice build. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and let's head downstairs. I think there's not too much else to show you besides up here. Let's go up here, actually. So this here is where the head honcho sits, where he'll have his little desk and, I guess, command the floor. We have a little lounging area, so if people come up through that door, they can sit down and relax and he can tell them off, right? But nothing else over here besides just this little area. Wasn't too sure what to do with it. I think we'll add a bunch of paintings over there and a bunch of paintings over there as well, just to add a little bit more of a scenery, I guess, when they come inside. Now, having said that, let's go downstairs. I think that's all for this one. So let's head out through this door. Of course, it's raining, and we can head down through here. Yes, we have a nice little secret storage. This is, I guess, where the other colors are if you want to check out. But I made this place nice and dingy, nice and scary looking, like it's just hidden away. But as you can see, we have all the other colors as well in here. But do notice, we are missing 3 other colors. I'm not really going to use a whole bunch of the purples, I believe. Yes, I'll put the purples, the magentas, and the pinks in here, just in the little sorting area on their own, because I think I can manually sort these ones. We don't need a whole bunch of stations for these, but these colors I do plan on using in future builds. But in this area over here, quite small, but I think it works. What do you guys think? Let me know. And just over here, we have the same glass mixing station as well, which is pretty cool. And that pretty much concludes the attic slash extra room for the glass showroom place. Now, let's move on to the next build. What am I going to do? Ooh, scary. Let's go inside here. Let's talk about what build we're doing next. I'm not too sure, but I think it might be the Taskmaster house. Another cute little build. I'm sure you guys will love it. So let's go to sleep and let's get this montage on the road. There it is, guys. We have the Taskmaster house. Doesn't it look absolutely fantastic? It is so cute with the colors, the redness, the browns. But of course, we'll talk about that in a moment. Let's first talk about why it's called a Taskmaster house. Basically, in the lore of this world, we have someone in that which organizes the tasks or the things that must be done in this world. And they come out every so often and they put them on this billboard over here, as you can see. And adventurers come from far and wide and they complete this little board of to-do lists, and once they do, you can mark them off as done. As you can see, we can press that button just to turn on these globes. That is pretty much why we have this over here. That's why I built, well, one of the few reasons. The other reason that I built this Taskmaster house was to make sure that I completed certain things in this world, just to keep me in check, because more often than not, I do get a little bit sidetracked and I forget about certain things. But with this thing here, we can pretty much put down all of these things, all the things that we need to do, and then complete them as we see them. We'll do them in each episode, just as a little small side quest. We won't make them the main focal point of each video, but just a little divergent from the main build I think will be good overall for our video quality. But yes, that's what we'll have done. We'll have the Taskmaster come out, put some tasks on the board that we need to do, and we'll get them done. Of course, I am the Taskmaster and also the person that needs to do them, but let's just go with that, okay? Let's go with a little bit of lore. Now, let's talk about the actual build in front of us. Yes, it is so cute. I am really loving the redness of this roof. Had a look at that one and also had a look at the awnings, and I figured, why not? Let's just turn it into an actual roof and let's add some browns and some grays into these ones, and I think it turned out really well. I'm really liking it. It kind of reminds me of a cottage. Has a very cottage type of feel. I'm not too sure why. But as you can see, the roofs, we pretty much have gone for the same thing in terms of just your standard, I guess, V? Is it a V? Just the standard shapes. But for this one, we did change it up. We turned it into some sort of dome or semi-dome. Kind of wraps around. I think it looks very cool. I'm very in love with the colors. So as you can see, we have some netherrack, some mangroves into the red, I think, terracotta into the pink terracotta. Yeah? Someone correct me. And then we have the very vibrant, I forgot what this is called, but it is so bright. I don't know if I really like it there, but there's no real shade in between besides the granite and or the brick. But even then, I think it has a little bit too much texture. So for now, just sticking with these ones. I still like it. I still like the way it looks overall. And let's look at the other details as well. This is the first time I think I've used looms as some sort of decoration piece as part of the actual build. And I think it's turned out great. It looks like little windows, little ventilation systems that we have inside, of course. We do have that as well with these little extra details with spruce stairs. But I just think it added a very nice, I guess, block choice that we could blend from the red into the browns, as you can see, because it has a little bit of both, right? And then let's take a look at the window at the very top here. I think this is the first time I've used these copper door crate things as windows. At the moment, I'm not too sure how I feel about them. I did fiddle around with them for quite some time, but I think overall we'll leave that as is, just because again, it does touch on the browns and the reds that we see in the build. And of course, speaking of the browns and the reds, just my typical brown usage of colors and blocks. Nothing too different, nothing too special. Same with the ones at the very top as well. And then on the side here, we do have a little building. It does have interiors inside. Let's have a quick peek. Yes. This little section, I've decided just to go with the grays, just to cut away from the great use of brown and white. So going with some gray colors over there. Overall, really like this build. Really think it came along very nicely. Let's go ahead and let's take a look, okay, on the inside. Look at this inside. I have put a lot of work into this one. It did take me some time to think of what to do, but I think we got there. The way I ended up designing the interior for this place was thinking to myself, hey, what would the adventurers actually use the task house for? And that basically was to hang and display all the achievements that they've done from all the places that they have visited and conquered. So that's why we have a bunch of things all over this place. As you can see, we even have the dragon head. We have a few of the other heads over there. Perhaps one of the tasks were to defeat the dragon, and they've done so. Now they got the head at the very top. And also, as you can see, we do have a bunch of armors. Yes, these ones are glowing. I had to put mending on them so we could get them to full health. And I didn't want them to break. So these ones are glowing as opposed to these ones. These are just things that I could buy or make, as you can see. Other than that, nothing else here. We have a podium, I guess, which the taskmaster can speak to the people, to the adventurers, to let them know what's going on. Perhaps they might have a big adventure coming along. But of course, we won't know that, will we? And let's take a look at the rest of this place. We have some storage, some random things that we can access. We also have this little cupboard over here. Adventurers can come through and put their coats up, have them along all sides as well. As you can see, one over here as well. And then in here we have a kitchen. Really like the kitchen. Don't think I've really done a kitchen before. Tried my best. I think it's turned out okay. We've got some pistons as the tabletops. We have the cookery, as you can see. Also have some campfires, the classic campfires underneath. We have a sink. We have a basin, I guess. Some pots and some storage. And also some access to the very top where we can store some other things as well. Now, that's the bottom. Let's go ahead and let's go upstairs and check that out as well. Now, of course, this is a place where they get their tasks, but this is also a place where they can sleep. And that's what we've done here. We've made a nice little room. As you can see, we've got some bunk beds with all sorts of different color beds. The adventurers can come up here and go to sleep if they don't have their own homes. And of course, we have, again, some nice little wardrobes where they can hang their things. Other than that, we have got some curtains just to keep this place nice and dark because they do need to sleep. We have some of the candles over there and over here just to make this place bright enough so we don't get mob spawns, but very, very dim still. Other than that, just some other things laying around. Scaffolding. Maybe this is a water keg that they drink from. This is just a little bench that they can sit on. With that being said, let's go ahead and let's have a look at the very bottom. Yes, there is a bottom. Not where we came from, but below that. Let's keep on going down. Aside from the other reasons as to why I made this task house, this was actually the main one as well. This over here is where we'll keep our elytra. As you can see, we do already have one in there, just to show you what it'll look like. But this is where we'll keep our elytra. Now, why are we doing this? Well, basically, I found that I have pretty much been abusing my elytra. We have such amazing builds all over this world, but I keep flying over them, so I don't really get to appreciate them. Not as much as I should. So I've made this place so we can put our elytra away. We're going to swap our ones for theirs, and we're going to put that somewhere else. And we're going to be able to access this only by paying. That's right. I have introduced some currency into this world. We've done it before with the XP shop. We've got the amethyst shards as a form of payment. For this one, because it's an elytra, I think we're going to change it and make it a little bit more expensive. Okay, for example, I'll show you. We'll grab a little box over here. We'll grab a diamond. Yes, it's going to be worth a diamond. So let's just say that you are an adventurer and that you require the elytra. But of course, it's not going to be for free. It's going to cost you because this is a very strong item. So the adventurer will come down and he needs to pay a price. For us, it's diamonds, and let's look at that. And it'll come up, and the adventurer can take the elytra in just a few seconds. It'll go back over there. And as you can see, we do have a dispenser at the very back, just because when we are done with the elytra, we don't need to pay for another diamond. We'd be using a lot of diamonds. We have a delivery system that kind of goes through as well. So that's what that is for, and that's how it works functionally. But let's look at the aestheticness of this place. As you can see, it's not too small, but it's not too big as well. We've kept the browns and the reds. We also got a bunch of armor stands with different types of armor on, as you can see, with different poses. Really loving that little detail. It looks like a sun coming over the players or armors. I think overall, I really do like the vibe and the overall feel of this place. But what do you guys think? I think eventually we'll have a villager in here as well. I do have, as you can see, a carpet over some of the cherry bushes so they can't escape. We'll put someone in here as a gatekeeper, or perhaps a man of knowledge, because he will need to read this every so often. But with that being said, this concludes the bottom half and actually the total build for the taskmaster house. Hope you guys did like this one. Okay, we're adding a little bit more lore and a little bit more function into this world, which is never a bad thing. Okay, let's go upstairs and let's crack on with the next build, the fifth build of today. Yes. So we're going to take a little break actually from building buildings, things like these ones. We're actually going to go ahead and terraform a little bit more before we go ahead and start building the final builds. And also before we start adding in the smaller details. Taking a look over here, you guys can see a very large hole that we need to fix. What we're going to do is we're going to connect that wall from down there. We're going to pull it out and bring it across to that building over there, to the glass house, and then we'll raise the land a little bit. And hopefully it looks nice. Okay guys, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get cracking on with that terraforming. So I'll see you guys in just a short montage. Please do enjoy. See you soon. Have a look at that, guys. What do you think? Doesn't that look so cool? The way it frames the building in the back. I really, really do like the way it looks. It's so cool. Welcome back, guys. As you can see, we've connected these two builds together with this little section over here with the walls, with the arch, and then back again with the walls. It looks so, so cool. And yes, those are diamond blocks. Got some diamond blocks in there, but I really do think the blue looks fantastic with the whites, the grays, and also the whites and grays into the greens over there. I think overall color scheme looks fantastic. It almost looks out of place just because it is so, I would say, prestigious. I'm not too sure if that's the right word, but I think with the splashes of white in this overall gray and brown area, it looks very cool. It doesn't take too much away from this entire area, but it does draw your eye. So if you're looking, and you do see the white, it does make you look, and just the way this thing can frame certain builds is quite incredible. Eventually we will have something just in there. Might add a tree or maybe a well. I'm thinking a well with some little piece of redstone in it. Once we add that in there, it will look so cool as well. But overall, this arch is very, very nice. Really love the color. Really love the shape. It took me some time to figure this one out, but really like the shape and really like just the overall feel it has. It does feel kind of grand, like we're leading up into somewhere very, very cool. And just to see these two things in the background, I think it's going to be very, very cool as well. And also, yes, we do have some rose bushes in the back over here. Just a little extra splash of color. You can't really see them, but they're not too prominent and they're not too overbearing. We see them just slightly. I guess once you move up, you see them a little bit more. But that's the archway. Really, really like the way it's turned out. And let's talk about what we've done up here. So as you can see, we've used a lot of green. Well, actually, you might not be able to see really what it looks like, so let's go ahead and look up. And yes, as you can see, we've gone ahead and made another little swirl, except this one is quite different as to what you've seen at the start with the first swirl. It's very much reversed. We have a lot more green than we do have grays, and we've got the grays used mainly as highlights, and as compared to the first one, we don't actually have a lot of moss. We use a lot more grass blocks instead. Of course, we still have moss, we still do have the green wool and also the green concrete powder, but it's way more green than it is in the first one. I really do like the way this one turned out versus the first one, but that's okay. We can use this kind of formula, this kind of pattern, in the next kind of terraforming that we need to do. But overall, I really do like the way it looks, I like the swirls, and the way we connected everything. As you already know, these are two different builds. We have this little greenhouse area, and then we have this new terraform area. I did try my best to connect it, but also try to kind of make it seem a little bit different, or a little bit separate, because they are two separate builds. We've done that with the cobblestone, the moss cobblestone, the tuff, and some moss just on either side as well. So you can see the old and the new. And then also, as you guys can see, we have a whole bunch of iron bars, and on top of those iron bars, we have a whole bunch of candles. We are running out of candles, and we need a string farm ASAP. But Mojang had to remove that, didn't they? Why? And then just down here, we have all these iron bars, which lead into this section over here, which just take us down into a nice simple arch as well. Still hitting the notes of the grays into the blacks. And this here is just our glass house, which has been infected. Nice. We'll have to cure this guy at some point. Oh, he saw me. So that's our little glass house over here, our glass shop. And up here is where we have the manager, and it'll be sitting up there. So we've gone ahead and also added in this little staircase as well, just to connect everything. But overall, I really, really do love this place. I think it's turned out great. We might go ahead and change a couple of things in there. Not too sure, but we'll figure that out once we get there. And also, guys, if you've already noticed, we have actually moved the task board. So this task board used to sit right here. I think right here. Right. Yeah. Used to sit right here, but it kind of felt like it was in the way. So I've gone ahead and I've just moved it down there because there's a bit of empty space anyway, and I didn't think, or I don't know if I would have thought of anything to put there. So we've gone ahead and moved the task board there. Fits very nice, and we can still have it so that the taskmaster comes out. Just takes a little bit of a longer walk to add all those little tasks to do. Of course, that'll be me anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And I think once we get rid of this guy over here, we'll put a fountain, a nice big fountain in the middle anyway. And that could be our center point for all the villagers to kind of meet and converge, right? But with that being said, it's time for us to talk about what we got to do next. We have this gaping hole over here that we need to add and fix up. We need to close it off, and then we can call it a day. Well, not really. We do need to add some extra details. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a nice big building just over here, along with a nice little tower and archway. Very similar to something like this, except we've gone for a different design. Similar in terms of the color, but the design will be very different, kind of. You'll see what I mean once we do get that. But we'll have the two towers, the arch, and then we'll have a nice big building over here. Really, really excited about this one. I really love the way this one's turned out. And what is that building? Well, it's going to be stables. We're going to have these guys be inside of there. Well, most of them, at the very least. Most of these guys over in the stables. It's going to look somewhat similar to this building over here. Color's going to be different. We're going to work with a lot of different blocks. Some blocks that I've never used before. And we changed the shape and added in a bunch of other details. But of course, you'll see that once I finish the build. But something that was really strange had happened. So I had updated my world to 1.21.5 just so we can add the new, I guess, grass blocks. But all of the files for my flashbacks didn't work because they needed to be in 1.21.4, so we had to downgrade back to that version. And because of that, we lost a whole bunch of these saddles. I had a whole bunch of saddles for these guys, all gone, especially the armor for the horses, and a lot of the armor stands that I had used for these kind of signs, and also the lampposts also disappeared. So had to spend a lot of time fixing those. Not too sure why that happened, but I think everything has gone back to normal. I might have forgotten some of the armor stands, but for the most part, things are back to normal. But we did lose a whole bunch of saddles, but that's okay. We'll just grab a bunch more. We do have, I think, a few left in our chests over there, and we'll use them to get them in to the stables. But with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and let's start building the rest of these two builds. We'll add these guys in the back into the stables, and then we can start adding in the small, tiny little details to make this place feel alive I cannot wait. And I hope you guys are having a blast. Thank you so much for sticking around and for watching. If you guys haven't liked already, please let me know that you do by liking this video and also commenting. And if you haven't already, subscribe, guys, subscribe. It's completely free and it certainly does help me. All right, the sun's setting. I can already see it. And also my clock is telling me. So as the light fades, let's go ahead and let's start building, okay? I'll see you guys in just a moment. Have a look at that, guys. We have now finished this entire section by closing off this gaping hole that we had and instead added in these massive two builds. We have the archway, the towers, like I mentioned, somewhat similar to this one, and also we have these stables over here. Doesn't this stable look absolutely fantastic? I really, really love this building. Of all the things that we've done today, this one I really, really do love the most. But in the comments, guys, let me know which one you like that we've made today. We'll go ahead and have a read and we'll tally up the votes, but let's have a look at this thing over here. My gosh, look at all the colors that we've used and all the different types of builds and building styles that we've used. Pretty much everything that we have here, we've kind of just chucked on to this one. We have a mix of browns into the grays. Basically, the gradient does go down from the corner over here. We do have to cut it off because it's stored, but we have a brown gradient that goes across the side and also a gray gradient that goes down as well. Just want to touch back on to this building over here, just so it's somewhat connected in a little way. But with the browns, we got the spruce, we got the muds, we also got the brown, I think mushroom blocks into the jungles, into the birches, and then it comes back down as well. So it goes light to dark, and then we have light to dark as well, before we touch on the grays, the dark grays, and also the light grays with the gravel. Absolutely fantastic. And of course, we've gone ahead and mixed in some signs as well, just to add a little bit more oomph, a bit more visual interest to the actual build. And also, just because I like the pattern, makes your eyes look across as well, just because these patterns do go across. Add those in, and also we've added in a bunch of buttons as well. And just to add a whole bunch of highlights to this build, yellow. Oh my gosh, yellow goes so well with these colors, with the grays, with the greens, with the browns, green, yellow, and browns. Such an amazing color combination. So I've gone ahead and added those in. As you can see, we have the scaffoldings. We also have the little trims with the bamboo leading down into the birch. And then we have some birch trapdoors over there as well. And also we have some of these trims over here as well for the entrances. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. And also the roofs, these little awnings as well. Let's talk about those. Yes, they look absolutely fantastic. I really love the colors that we've been able to do with them. We have, I guess, what are they called? The weathered oxidized copper blocks for the slabs. And then we have the normal oxidized slabs, breaking that in with the warped slabs and also into the warped trapdoors. I think overall it looks fantastic. Just the way it pops out with this overall brown and gray build does give that little extra of color that we need. Not that it doesn't do good without it. It definitely does, but this green definitely does make this build feel 100% complete and all together. But that's the outside. Let's go ahead and let's have a look at the inside. This here is the actual stables, and doesn't it look really, really cool? We have a lot of brown still, but we've gone ahead and contrast that with a bunch of this red from the mangroves. I really do love this red. It's not so bright that it stands out too much. It's a little bit saturated, so it does work with the spruce. So we've added those in, and as you can see, we have some of the horses inside just kicking about. And also we do have the camel over there and another horse. I really do like the way this little area does pop out as compared to the brownness of it all. So when you come in, you can see the horses do live where they live. And of course, we will need to give them some names. We do have some signs. Eventually, once we do name them, we can have arrows pointing in either direction on either side as well. But outside of that, nothing too much or too crazy in terms of the details. Just some scaffolding that I usually do. There's some chairs, some barrels, some ladders, some storage as well. And in terms of the lighting, just got some of these candles around this place. It doesn't light up this place too much, so we're not saturated in light, but it does keep this place nice and mob free, so we don't have them walking all over the place. And speaking of walking, look at this floor. This is the first time I've ever used these rooted mud blocks. Rooted mud blocks, the first time I've ever used them, but I think they look absolutely fantastic. Mixing that in with the mangrove wood and the oak, and also just normal mud. Looks like this place has been trotted about very, very often, so it does fit well with the overall theme. Really love this place. Really love how this thing has turned out. But in this room, what do we have? A whole bunch of hay. This will be the storage room for hay. Let's just imagine that somebody comes through here. A delivery man comes through and he delivers a whole bunch of hay for the horses, for the camels. Camels eat hay, right? They deliver a whole bunch of hay. And this is where we keep it. This did cost a lot of wheat. And I'll be honest, we might go ahead and take some of these back so we can make some packed mud, because we will need it for future episodes. But for now, this is where we'll sit them, or this is where we'll leave them, and we'll come back when we do need them. We'll just grab a few every now and then. So this is our storage area. That is the stables. Now, let's go upstairs. Let's take this little staircase all the way to the top, and we can be safe inside as it is getting dark. And of course, we just do have a bunch of awnings on this side as well, and also one down there as well. But inside here, this is the stable master's house. It does come with a double bed, so maybe he has a Mrs. Stable Master as well. But a nice double bed, a bunch of bookshelves, a nice cozy fireplace. As you can see, we've gone ahead and we extended the chimney that we saw outside, inside as well. So it is very practical. It does lead all the way up. And we also do have an extra campfire up there just to give that little extra puff of smoke. But nothing too crazy in here as well. We have a bunch of armor stands. We have a bunch of storage. As you can see, barrels. And we also do have a wardrobe as well with some more armor stands so they can put their dirty clothes up and around. And what else? Oh, yes, of course, item frames, because he is a stable master. Maybe he has item frames full of saddles and leads. And then just up here, just to keep things a little bit practical, we have a ladder which takes him up to the top so he can put away some books maybe that he doesn't need anymore, or just store away other little things as well. And also an extra little armor stand there for maybe old clothes that he doesn't need anymore. Oh, it's time to go to sleep. So let's go to sleep for now. So that there is the stable master house and the stable itself. And I think they look so cool, but I think I've said that too many times. So I'm going to stop now talking about the stables. We're going to talk about this little build over here. Like I mentioned before we did the actual... Oh! That would have been very dangerous. Like I mentioned before, at the very start, before we actually started building, this area would be the same as that, or these two towers would be similar to these ones over here. And we did mention that would mean the colors and the blocks. So as you can see, we've kept the whites, we've kept the grays, but we've added in a little bit extra in terms of the acacia, the tuff, and also the pale logs as well. Hi there. And also we've added in a whole bunch of brown, and we have this nice green roof as well. I really like the way the roof has turned out. Just the overall build, actually, the way that's turned out. I think we might go ahead and change this one something similar to that one, just because I like it too much, and I think that one over there was a little bit too rushed. Didn't really have a plan for that one. Knew that I wanted a tower with an archway, so we did compromise. But I think now that we have a style, we can go ahead and change that one to over there as well, or can just add it in as well. But also for this one, it was very plain before, and I want to add a little bit of a feature to this one. So here we are. With this feature, we have this, I guess, awning as well. This shelter area. I think it looks very, very cool. Very, very random. But I guess villagers would use this as a place for shelter. We can add in a bunch of benches just on either side. So if it wasn't raining, the villagers can come here away from the rain and keep it nice and dry. So we have that little area as well. But overall, I do really love these two builds. I think we could have done better on all of the other builds in this area, but not too fast because overall this place looks absolutely fantastic. Now, with that being said, on with the smaller builds, and that means add a little bit more detail with everything. And as you can see, we started already by adding in a whole bunch of grass everywhere. Not everywhere, but in most places. I had to get a whole bunch of grass. At the very start of this series, I really didn't like the way grass looked, so I did try to get rid of most of them. In fact, if you go back, you'll see me watering a whole bunch of land out, but boy, was that a mistake. The grass makes everything feel alive, and it certainly does over here as well. And we've also gone ahead and done it up here, as you can see. Put a whole bunch of grass everywhere just to make it feel like it's lived in, overgrown, and it's got that kind of vibe. And also, you can see here, got a bunch of berry bushes. Eventually, we're going to unleash a whole bunch of villagers. We want to keep them just kind of pinned in this area. So I've gone ahead and changed a few things so that they don't leave. I believe I do have some berry bushes over here as well. Yes. And also some berry bushes over there as well. You can see we have some of the moss carpets. So they can still enter this big thing here. They won't be able to exit out of this door because we have some carpets and they need to be, I think, 2 tall blocks or 2 blocks tall. They can't exit out there. They can't exit out there. They can't get into this door and they can't get into this glass house. And they can't get into here. So this one I've changed it to an iron door completely just because I don't want them fiddling around with that at all. I do have a creative copy of this one and they always walk into this building for a reason. So a whole bunch of villagers will just crowd this place and it's just really, really annoying. So we changed it where you got a calibrated skull sensor just underneath and we just need to have a look at that. It'll open up for us and we can go through. And if we want to leave, we can look at that one again. Oh, look at that one again. And then we can exit. So I think that's pretty cool. No need for buttons and no need for an actual toggleable door in terms of, I guess, the wooden doors that villagers can mess around with. But yes, that is the overall build and tour for these 2 things right in front of us. It's time for us to get cracking on with the smaller details to make everything feel alive. And I think I'm going to do that in a form of a time lapse just because we have a bunch of small little details we need to add. So time lapse would be probably the best way to go about it. So I'm going to go ahead and get cracking on with that and I'll see you guys in just a short moment. Welcome back, guys. That is probably going to be the last time you hear me say that in today's episode because we are finally done with today's build, with all the terraforming, with all of the detailing. We are now complete. And thank God, right? Because this episode has been going on for quite some time. So if you guys have stuck out for, I guess, the hour that it's been, thank you so much. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. But that being said, let's not drag it on any longer. Let's have a look at what we've done in 3, 2, and 1. Oh, yes. Look at that. Look at that right now. We actually have a very, very cool view into what is the town square. I really love the framing of this archway. In today's episode, I really did try to focus on framing and viewpoints and sightlines. And I think this one is a very, very good viewpoint, or just a very good use of framing. We have this archway and it is directing us directly into this stage over here. But more about that later. Let's talk about what we've done. Overall, let's talk about what we have done to this place, what we have added. But let's just have a quick walk around so you guys can have a feel of this place. Oh, yes. Have a look at that. It just, I can't explain it. Every time I walk through here, this is my new favorite place, my new favorite build. And I don't think it's because these buildings, I really think I like this place because of the actual terraforming and the detailing done in this place. But let's talk about that. So as you guys can see, we have a whole bunch of these custom spruce trees. We have these iron fences which cover them around us. Sometimes I guess you can see at parks they do have some fences that kind of cover the tree. We have that along a bunch of these spruce trees that kind of sit in between. I think we do have 4. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We have a couple of benches. We have yellow beds as those benches. Yellow because they do pop out amongst the green, the greys, and the browns. So we have a few there, and a few along the edges as well, which is very nice. Adds a little bit of pop of color. We also do have these lampposts that we do have around the other side over there as well. Just changed, I guess, the posts a little bit just to match a little bit more the terrain to make it a little bit more grey. But otherwise, the top is very much the same. And yes, we are using armor stands to achieve a kind of a look over there, which you can't really get in vanilla Minecraft. But speaking about that, have a look at this. Tell me what you can see that looks a little weird. Let me go ahead and do a full 360. Have you guys seen it yet? That's right. How is this possible? We have we have an iron bar, and we also have in the same block this spruce trapdoor. How does that work? Well, my OCD couldn't allow it having a gap, so I did in fact put an armor stand. We blew it up, and then we just kind of etched it in. As you can see, it's not very, I guess, good, but it's as close as you can get. And that's the way we're going to leave it. I could not stand the gap. So we've gone ahead and we've done that for all sides and also to the one down there as well, I believe. Yeah, as you can see. But it really looks good. I think it really adds the extra pop of detail that we need for these benches. I could have done without these benches, but I really wanted it to be next to a tree as well. So that's what we've done over here. And right in front of us, we have this really cool fountain. I really wanted to make something that kind of stood out, but also didn't take away from this overall place. But this place definitely adds, or this fountain definitely adds a little bit of liveliness, a little bit of, I guess, what's that word? I can't think of the word, but it definitely adds to this place. And I guess it's because of the running water and also because of the pop of blue. As you can see, everything is still quite grey. Got some green in there as well. It's a bit wet and stone and moss. All that stuff kind of mixed together. But otherwise, blue pop of water, or the pop of blue water, excuse me, really adds to this entire place. And I really think it looks fantastic. We are going to do something with this later on. Not in this episode, I think in the next episode, so episode 21. That's right, I've already planned that far ahead, so stick around if you guys do want to find out what that is. But in the next episode, we are going to be using this thing, and it's going to be related to that thing over there. Now, speaking of this thing, this is a stage. If you guys didn't already know, if you guys couldn't really tell what it was, it is a stage. I wanted to have some sort of center or some sort of place where villagers, if this was a real, I guess, a real life village, people can come on the stage and they can make announcements, they can do some performances, some small performances, because it's not a very big stage, but performances nonetheless, and they can just, you know, display or make announcements on either side, because it is a circle, right? Or a square-ish. But it's a very cute little build. I do love the way it's turned out. Used a whole bunch of mangrove, a bunch of the new pale. Well, we actually used a whole bunch of pale blocks today, but use that as well in conjunction with granites and also with the diorites, as you can see over there. A very, very cute build, and I really do love the way this thing kind of slopes in as well. Now, I'm not too sure if I'm going to, but I'll leave it in your guys' hands. Should we add a flag on top of that? I was thinking about putting a flag, but I'm not too sure. So as for right now, it is just a random, I guess, poll kind of sticks through. So let me know in the comments down below, should we add anything to that, or should we leave it as is? I think it looks pretty good as is. Maybe we can add a flag that's yellow and white. It would match the benches over here. So we'll have a think about it. You guys let me know in the comments below what we should add. I think right now it looks pretty good. Now let's talk about what we've done in the back. We've gone over this little area. It looks and feels so good, so lived in, so chaotic. but also at the same time a little bit of order. I don't know what to say about that. I think it's because of the benches and these things here just being, I guess, blocked off. I'm not too sure. But over here, look at this framing. Oh my goodness, look at that. We have this frame over here, well, the archway, which leads into the well in the back and also into a little bit of the library as well. I think it looks so cool, especially because of the fog effect. But right in front of us, we have this little area, this little flower bed that I decided to make. We had a whole bunch of space just along here. Didn't know what to add to it, but I came up with this little divider which forces anyone to walk up and around. And I've done so for the other side as well. But I think it's a very cool design. Just gone off a base with these blocks over here, as you can see. So we've got andesite diorites and also the pale wood. And also a bunch of these skeleton horses, which I have moved these guys probably 5 times out of this area. They always find themselves back in, but we're going to keep it there. That's it. You're stuck. But let's go up and let's just really enjoy this view. If we walk up very, very, very slowly, have a look at that. This leads you right into this very, very grand area. It's very wide. It's very open as compared to down there. As you can see, it's a little bit more stuffy with all the details, with all the trees, all the beds, and all the benches and lampposts. But this one over here, it's very, very wide open, as you can see. I would imagine this place to be more so the social area where people can come up and they can relax, they can talk to each other. And I came up with these really cool, I guess, awnings or some sort of designs that you would usually see at parks where people can sit down and talk down on either side. And we put these benches such that we can do that, sit down and talk, which I think is really cool. There's a little extra detail for people living around here, which I think is very, very much needed for all worlds. Otherwise, we did add a whole bunch of these spruce signs as well, just to make everything look a little bit more rundown, especially over here. But yeah, otherwise, we do have this other arch, which also frames that thing over there for the library. And also, depending on which way you look, over there as well. But not as good of a framing job, if you ask me. But down here, oh yes. Now, eventually, we will have a bridge which stretches across from here all the way down there, and then we'll work a little bit more in that area as well. Try to connect everything together. Maybe make that place a little bit more mystical than this place here. But that is a job for me for another time, and we'll add that to the do board that is further down there. Now, the only really cool thing about this place, well, I take that back. One of the cooler things about this place is this well. I really like the way it looks, but it also functions. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means this. If I get 8 of these buckets and you walk up to this well and you throw those in, all 8 of those buckets will be eventually turned into buckets of water, and very quickly. In fact, it's right there already. Now, if we look at our inventory, we have a total of 8, as you can see, and we can just add them in here, to which I have been. Oh, looks like we're running out of space. Yeah, so I've been having fun with that just because I thought it was a really cool design. So we'll just, I guess, pull these ones back in. And you know what? Let's just leave that for now. So yeah, we have a little bit of redstone down here, as you guys can see. There we go. We have an item sorter which only accepts the buckets, obviously, or else we can't convert those into water. So we use the same buckets that go down, convert them into water down over here. And then it just gets dispensed all the way up and around, up this bubble elevator, and just under this pot over here. It's very cool. It's very quick, and it adds a little bit of functionality and practicality into this build, because I do use a lot of water buckets, but I don't always refill it. But now we have this thing over here, and it's going to be a treat to refill every single time. But other than that, as you can see, still got that little messy vibe. Still have some trees, these custom trees just dotted around, as you can see. Nothing too much over here. I did want to leave this place very sparse, not too much detail as compared to down there, because this is where villagers would come up and just chill and relax from all the hustle and bustle that would be from down there. And then we have a bunch of little benches as well, as you can see. Ooh, and then it's now nighttime, which is perfect because I can talk about what I really, really love about this entire build is the fact that this thing is entirely mob spawn proof. That's right. I have gone through meticulously and made sure that everything is lit up just enough so we don't get too much light, so we don't have too much flooding of brightness. It's still, as you can see, very, very dim. We do have splashes of light here and there, but this place will not spawn any mobs. I've tested it. I've gone AFK here for quite some time, so I know for a fact that I will not die. And eventually, once we get villagers in here, that's right, we will add villagers, and I can't wait for that episode. They will not die. That's right. I've also gone ahead and spawn-proof the roofs as well, just because sometimes, just sometimes, we do get a bunch of zombies which spawn there and they do try to come down. But since I have fixed that, that shouldn't be a problem at all. And also, we do have a bunch of these berry bushes over here as well, which just stop a bunch of these guys from coming through from here, and also stopping the villagers from leaving. This was a very, very complicated, I guess, task before I found out that I had the mini HUD installed, which allowed me to do this, and then it made it very, very easy. So thank you very much to the developers of this mod. I would not have been able to do this without you. As you can see, everything is well lit over here, and also we have some well litness up here as well, so if that's a word, right? But oh, all right, we'll turn that off. But that is pretty much what we have done for today. It looks absolutely fantastic. I really love the way it feels. And once we start adding in the villages, which will be related to these two builds here, it'll be even better. Now, speaking about that, I want to show you something. Look at what I have done. Oh, this took me a little over a week to do, just chipping away at it very, very slowly. Did almost destroy me, but we've done it. Probably the most amount of digging that I have ever done. And as you can see, we have a whole bunch of chests here. And yeah, they're almost all full. I believe this is all stone. We have a bunch of other things in here. I think that's cobble, some more stone. I think this andesite, diorite, and then some dirt and granite. Yes, and then nothing else in this side over here. And then we have some more granite, some more andesite, some more diorite, and I think a bunch of cobblestone, which just go through until we have some more stone. So we have a whole bunch of materials because of all this digging, which is fantastic. We won't have to dig for quite some time. But yes, look at this massive thing over here. This is in preparation for episode 21, because as you know, the next episode will be about the world tour and also the world download. So if you guys are looking forward to that, it's going to be out hopefully not too much longer after this, I guess, after I post this one. But yes, after that, we do have another build ready and waiting, and it will take up this entire area and also that little strip over the top over there. Haven't dug it out just because I show you we do have the villages over here, and I do need to mill them because that is my emerald source. So I have to move them somewhere else because it will take up this entire area as well. But that is for another time, because for today, we are done with today's build, and it's time for us to go ahead and visit the library, the subscribers library, and get those comments in to the books and then into the bookshelf. So let's go ahead and let's do that right now. Hey. Gonna do it. Sometimes they escape. And now, yes, okay. Let's go ahead and let's get to the library. Alrighty guys, let's go ahead and let's have a look at the comments that we received in the previous episode, and let's have a talk about those. I believe we do have a few. Yes, we have about 7. Now these comments were randomly picked because we did have a whole bunch of amazing comments in episode 18. I do really appreciate each and every one of you guys who have commented. Not only that, liked and subscribed. I really do appreciate each and every one of you, and I do try to get back to replying to each one of those comments whenever I can. So in saying that, if you guys do leave a comment in today's episode, more than likely I'll reply to that. So thank you to everyone who has and to everyone who will. With that being said, let's go ahead and let's have a look at what the comments say today. The first one is from Frienda Bro. I love your build style. I'm so glad YouTube has always put you at the top of my recommended page. Such a great content creator. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much, Frienda Bro. I really appreciate that comment. And it's also really good to hear that I have been recommended onto certain people's channels, or to the top at the very least. That's so cool to hear. I'm not too sure. I'm never too sure how that works, or if I even was being recommended to anybody's YouTube channel other than those who have subscribed. So thank you so much for that reassurance. I really do appreciate that and your comment and your support. Thank you so much, friend bro. Now, move on to the second comment, and this is from Aditya Dawa, and they say, "Hi man, great work. Some sound effects and some music would be good. Otherwise, have a nice cozy vibe." Thank you so much for that, Aditya. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. I put in a whole bunch of sound effects and also a whole bunch of music in this one. It is, of course, I think an hour and something long, so it would be quite, I guess, stale if it didn't have any. So I hope you did enjoy today's episode. If you did, let me know if you like the sound effects or if you like the music that I have put in. Thank you so much for your support, Aditya, and have a good rest of your day, and also have a nice cozy vibe as well. Now let's look at, I think, oh, this is number 3, and this is from Kobe Peters 5572. I'm so sorry if I do butcher your names, guys. But they say, "I love the villager system. Could you do a step-by-step tutorial or maybe provide a schematic? That would be awesome." So yes, yes to the second bit. I think I'm going to eventually make a new Discord, just because I still, for the reason, can't access my old Discord. So I'm going to make a new one, and I think I'm just going to upload the schematics. I'm not too sure if people are interested in step-by-step tutorials, but either way, I'll make a new Discord and we'll have a channel just for schematics, so I can put in my redstone and also the build so you guys can grab. If that's something that you'd like, let me know in the comments down below, or perhaps you just want a step-by-step tutorial. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for that, Kobe. I really do appreciate your comment and also for this suggestion. All right. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Now, on to the next. I believe this one and also the next comment are kind of the same. So we'll touch on them as well, or both of them, and then we'll have a look at what they say and what I have to say. That makes sense. But Toxic Tom MC says, "Hey dude," or should I say guy? Either or. "Glad you're back making videos and love today's build. If I were you, I would use amethyst shards as a currency for the XP. They feel a bit magical and should not be too hard to get." And the next one is from Sliding Architecture, and they say, "Really love the build. I'd say for the currency, you should use amethyst shards or whatever they are called. They don't have many uses, so giving them another use in your world could be amazing." And to both of you, I say thank you so much. I hope you did see in today's episode that I've taken on board your idea. It was a fantastic idea. You're definitely right, the both of you. They are magical, and I don't really use them for anything else. Not even for the tinted glass. I pretty much just use black stained glass. But thank you so much for the idea. I think it works really, really well, especially in the context of the build, where we're kind of being a little bit shady and we're passing it off to the librarian, who looks kind of like a cleric, who looks like he can handle the amethyst shards. So thank you so much for your comment. I really do appreciate that, guys. And that goes out to everyone who's made a comment or a suggestion in something that we can add to this world. I would definitely do look at it, and I definitely try to add it in where possible. Thanks again, guys, for your support. Now on to the 6th, and that's from Building with Morrow, and they say, "I love Minecraft and I want to try to also upload some videos, but I'm not very good at talking. What kind of videos would you make if you wouldn't talk? Just time lapses or some style but subtitles instead of talking? Thanks for the advice." Well, Morrow, I think you've hit it right on the head, or the nail right on the head on that one. You don't have to talk. Definitely do not have to talk. If you're not comfortable, if you're not really good at talking, you can make a lot of videos, a lot of content just by showing a lot of your buildings through time lapses. As long as you're getting the storytelling correct from the start to the end, I think that's perfectly fine. There is a lot of content creators, and especially there is one that I'm currently watching, and all he does, or all they do, is just show time lapses of when they're building, from gathering the materials to when they start building to the final result and to how it works, with a whole bunch of music along the way, and it is fantastic. Sometimes you don't need to, talk. Maybe I talk too much. Sometimes you don't need talking at all. You can put in some subtitles, but that is up to you. You can definitely go about it that way. Time lapses, music, good vibes. I think that definitely can work. Okay, so go for it. And I'll be looking forward to seeing what you've made. I already watched your first episode, or the first video that you've made on your account. Please keep going. It was fantastic. So thank you so much for your comment, Maura. And I think you also sent in another one saying when would be the next upload. Well, it's now. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you so much again for your comment. And on to the last, and that is it's by Kiboiki. Boiki221. I'm so sorry about that. And they say, please name the seed. Now, I specifically chose this comment because I'm still, excuse my English, I am still getting asked about the seed. So there it is. It's in green. Guys, have a note down, have a look, and see if you guys do enjoy it. That is the seed right there. Otherwise, if you still don't know it, or if you're watching today's episode and you ask again, I will always let you know. But there it is. Okay. So with that being said, that would be the last comment. Thank you again so much to everyone, not just to the 7 who have commented and seen in today's episode, but to every single one of you guys. Without you, there would be no episodes. Without you, there would be no comments and none of this. So I'm really, really appreciative. Now, let's go ahead and let's just plop that in. Oh gosh, that is a lot of episodes left. I think we might start skipping. Maybe we'll do a few in each one before we move on to the next. But episode 19 completed. And now we can start on the next episode. That's right. No rest for the weary. We're going to crack on straight on to the next episode. Episode 20 will be a world tour and a world download. So if you guys are looking forward to that, just keep an eye out. Again, I will make a new Discord so we can have that download set up over there. But until that, thank you again so much to everyone who has watched today's episode. I know it's been a long one, and also a long one coming, a long one waiting, one of those. So thank you for sticking around. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your likes. And to those who have subscribed, thank you so very much. All right. I'll see you in the next episode. But until then, bye.